government of UBC. I also want to thank government for creating this space for us to come and explain what government does in our dockets.
All right, Honorable, let's start with the policy and legislation. What are the government's current priorities in disability policy, and how do they reflect the lived experiences of disabled persons?
Yeah, I want to start by recognizing that in 1995, when the Constitution was formed, people with disabilities were recognized right from the Constitution, and in the Constitution under Article 32 and 35, where we have been given affirmative action. So government, when it put in the Constitution, recognized that people with disabilities are human beings like any other person in Uganda. So we were recognized at that point that we started from the point of mobilizing people with disabilities. And in that mobilization, we were able to get into the political arena. I will tell you that in 1996, we were able to start getting into elections of councillors, elections of members of parliament, and at the end of the day, you had a mass of over 40,000 disabled leaders, meaning that the government recognized us from the start. Let me say from the Constitutional Assembly. In the Constitutional Assembly, we had only one disabled person, and that person, rest in peace, produced 5 members of parliament. That's what places created in the Constitution. And then we created 2 disabled people at a district as leaders, 2 disabled people at a sub-county, and then at the village, and then LOC2. Meaning that there was a mass move in terms of policy. Because if you have to talk about programs affecting you, you must be in the political arena where decisions are made. And that's what the first point the disability movement entered. And because of that, our voice now began to be heard. You couldn't again ignore people with disabilities. And of course, as we moved on, in 2006, at the international level, we had the convention, the International Convention on the Rights of People with Disabilities. And again, I will thank government of Uganda under the leadership of His Excellency, President Museveni. The government was able to sign both the convention and the optional protocol, meaning that at the international level, again, Uganda recognized people with disabilities. Some countries, as I talk up to now, have not yet signed that convention. So whether at the local level we are here, we have now gone ahead to domesticate that law, the convention, to be able to put into the other law. So you realize that we have the Act, Specific People with Disabilities. It was revised in 2020. In that Act, we have given duty bearers to take charge of issues of disability. And the duty bearers are many, all the MDS. Because disability is not hosted in one ministry, it's a cross-cutting issue. If you go to health, there are issues of disability. If you go to Ministry of Education, they want to go to school. If you come to Ministry of Works, there are issues of accessibility. So the Act now gives a lot of duty bearers responsibilities, both state and non-state actors. So at the level of policy, I'm proud to say that Uganda is one of the best countries in terms of legislation concerning people with disabilities. We can pride in that. I know we have challenges of implementation, not yet to that level, but in terms of laws, everybody wonders how Uganda did it. But I want to thank His Excellency, the President, for having accepted to listen and afford people with disabilities space to participate in the development of this country.
Honorable, we must appreciate what you're doing as government for persons with disabilities, but oftenly we have covered in the different parts of the country, but people with disabilities, it seems they are not ideally feeling what you're doing as government.
It depends on how you see, because I don't understand when you tell me they don't feel. It is a two-way. One, you must understand that the history of a disabled person, we came from a society where there were negative attitudes. Yeah. Right from our families. People say, this one is a disabled, the mulema, what can she do? So when they see you in society, they even imagine you can't do anything. So when you are in that society, the issues of inferiority complex come in. So if I'm a disabled person, and because I've been neglected, I tend not to bring out my ideas. So that's maybe the few people you have met and say that maybe they are not able to come out tell their issues. But society looks at us as people who are negative. And that's why now we remove the notion of not calling us disabled people, because disabled is negative. We say people, first see me as a person, and then with a disability. Like I'm seeing you, Jethro, you are a young man, but with putting on a suit. If I start with a suit, then you will see a cloth, but you will not see the human being. So if you say a disabled person, you see the disability, but you don't see my human part of my body. So we now believe that when you say a person with disability, and for us we have gone ahead to say a PWD means a person with disability or a person without disability. So we are all PWDs.
Honorable, you talked about mobilization, the political inclusion. We must appreciate, but have you done follow-ups to ensure that all the strategies, the policies, whatever you're putting on table is really felt underground? Now that is where the issue is, because at government level, you've really done your best.
No, our approach is bottom up as government of Uganda. I could give you an example. Currently, the president is talking about household income, and we have not been left behind. As first of all, as a community of the disabled, government has given us what we call a special grant for people with disabilities, and the grant is not a loan. So when you look at the special grant for people with disabilities, it supports groups of people between 5 to 10, and most of them go 5 members, meaning they'll get 5 million. Each of them will get 1 million to support their families. And just I'll tell you, many disabled people say, me, I have never held 1 million, because majority of us are still poor. We're in that segment. So if somebody says, I've never held 1 million, I'd have held 1 million now. Somebody has given me this money that is mine. But the proposals come from the ground. You tell us what you want to do. If you want to do poultry, if you want to do piggery, if you want to do goat rearing, if you want to do sheep rearing, you give us your idea. So we have the people called the community development officers at the local level. So this is not done at the national. So when you look at these people, they mobilize, they help to give the message. And our people mobilize themselves through the political leaders, I told you, because we have them from the village up to the district and then to parliament, and of course now cabinet. I am the only one so far. So you realize that at the end of the day, when these people mobilize these people for action, as we talk now, we have so many groups that have got this money, and I think that money has improved the livelihoods of our people. Because in terms of education, we haven't gone so far. Because education, you reach somewhere, the parents say, I think let me take this other child and leave this one behind. So the only thing you have to do is the informal employment and be able to support yourself and support your family.
Honorable, let's talk about the plans that you have to strengthen or reform disability rights legislation to better protect individuals against discrimination, because I do understand at a certain point, somehow, somewhere, persons with disabilities are discriminated.
No, discrimination again comes from who is acting in the discrimination. Because discrimination is not only a reserve for people with disabilities. Even as a woman,
even a normal human being.
We are also normal. We are not sick.
Yeah, sorry about that.
We are very normal because we do everything that you do.
True.
But what I wanted to say, discrimination depends on the person who is acting. For example, if I came to you, BC, and just your attitude is like, what is this woman coming here, this disabled woman? Your head will be switched off, and you will never think of helping me.
The attitude?
The attitude comes to you, and you say, I think this is not for me. One thing you forget, and what many people forget, they forget that they think the disabled stay in a village. But a disability is a system, is a process that anybody can be disabled. So what disables people is the environment. Today, I want to appreciate you, BC. Last time I came here, I struggled with the lifts.
With the lift.
Today, I'm not quarreling because I've used a lift. Meaning, my accessibility has been improved. I've come here and I'm very comfortable. I'm not breathing.
Thank you.
Because last time I had to struggle and come there. So I want to thank the management. But what am I trying to say? If you disable me by using the environment, then it means discrimination will come on board. You imagine you're a teacher in the classroom. You are teaching these other children. There's a deaf child in that class. You have not thought of a sign language interpreter. Are you not discriminating this child who's deaf? Then in your mind as a teacher, you say, after all, there's only one child who is deaf. Now, who discriminates is the person who is doing the implementation.
Honorable, that takes me to the funding and services. The fact that we've been talking about discrimination, that takes us to the services that the persons with disabilities are supposed to receive. Are there initiatives to improve support for disabled people living in rural or underserved communities?
Yeah, I think I had already started to tell you one program called the Special Grant for People with Disabilities.
Yes.
Apart from this financial year, we got 8 billion. In the next financial year, we are going to be getting 16 billion to support the initiative. That is a reserve for people with disabilities. And that money goes to every district in Uganda. We give a figure and then we distribute it to the whole country. We have the famous PDM. We have not been left out. We have our 10%. And so far, I think we have accessed about 19 billion. Though it is not, I'm still asking local government to improve because we're only at 2% of that money. But we're supposed to get our 10%. So if this money can be given to the disabled people who are supposed to get it, I know there will be change even into our GDP in the country. Because these people can get the money, do some business, and be able to improve their livelihoods. We have the famous Mioga. Every program that government does, we are not left out. In the Mioga, one of the, you know that word is, I think, Bantu kind of language, but I think one of it is called a moga. I'm not very sure. That one moga, there's one moga for disabled people specific. So when the carpenters, the boarders who are getting 30 million, we are also given 30 million under the leadership of the disability leaders.
Okay.
Now, there's been a top-up of 30 million to 20, and some people even are getting to 60 million. That Mioga is specific to support disabled people in terms of household income and improving their livelihoods. We also know that under Ministry of Education, previously we used to have what they call under the Joint Admission Board, disabled people are given affirmative action to go to school. If you get 2 principal passes, we give you a recommendation, you go to Makerere, and you are given to go to school. And most of our disabled people who are educated have gone through the affirmative action of going to the education. I'm happy to report that the 64 has now increased to 360 with this current admission.
Okay.
So government is really thinking and planning for everybody. And remember our theme of the National Planning Authority. I mean the National Planning Authority is under the NDP. We are talking of inclusive development. So don't leave anyone behind. That's the SDG. So government tries to do the planning in a way that we all are part and parcel of the planning and the development processes.
Honorable, you've talked about the Mioga and all these other government initiatives that are usually brought on board. True, you've accepted that you're not left behind. We do appreciate for that. But someone asks, how is the distribution of all these funds like? How do you ensure that it gets to that person who is supposed to receive that benefit? You
see, I will not run away from a comment to say, I think not all services get to everybody. Just if they bring youth money, there are youth who might get it, depending on their ability to know, the knowledge they have, and how they can get organized. So if we are talking of organization, and you are not part of the organization, automatically you are likely to miss out. But these monies of government come, and there's always an organization. For example, if you talk of PDM, they said you should be in the household. So if you are not in the household, automatically you will not be part of it. Mioga, you should be in a group to get this Mioga. So you must be in that group. If you want to be an individual, then you might not partake it. If they tell you go into a special grant group, you have to be in the special grant group and be given this money. But I want to recognize the challenge we have as people with disabilities. Sometimes the message does not reach to everybody. That's our big barrier. Like now the deaf. You see, I have brought Monica here to talk to the deaf. Now when you are mobilizing on TV in UBC here, I've just seen you talking about taxes. Do you think the deaf have got the message of the commissioner? They have not got. So maybe I'll talk to commissioner to bring an interpreter when he's interpreting. But we have deaf people who are running businesses. I have a silent cafe around town here, run by a deaf man, and serving, people who are serving are also deaf. So it's a really silent place. You can't take coffee, you don't hear noise. So you wonder what is happening.
Honorable, on that very bit, you've talked about talking to the Commission to see how best everybody receives the message. You've been in the government from 2011, serving these people. What have you done, or what do you have in plan to ensure that at least whatever program comes on TV, persons with disabilities are catered for?
This has been a long advocacy. It has been a long advocacy, even to get the news interpreters. We have gone through a lot. Because when we could talk to managers of maybe TVs, managers of institutions, they say, who's going to pay the interpreter? But our question always was like, for example, when you are giving news on UBC, who pays that person who reads the news?
UBC.
But why don't you want to give a deaf person to get the news? So these were the questions we had to organize with the people. Because all the time we tell them, they were saying, this is an extra cost. But you have a clientele out there who wants to what? To listen to this news. So it has been a long thing, and we are continuing to advocate for it. I have told the Minister of Information that any information going out should bring out issues of sign language for the population which does not hear. We have encouraged that when the president is going to go to his rallies, we should also be able to have sign language interpreters to give the public his message. Because he talks a very good message, but then there's a public which does not hear. You have the blind. They have special machines for writing. If I bring their writing here and I say, Jethro, now you interview me, you'll remain blind because you'll be looking at dots, but you don't know what to do. Now, if I brought a deaf person here with you, you'll be smiling with the person, but communication will be a barrier. So you begin discriminating and pushing this person away. So there are those barriers of communication, there are barriers of attitude, there are also barriers of discrimination that still exist in our community, not to give us full blast into inclusion.
Ladies and gentlemen, this discussion continues. We still have a number of things to talk about. We have talked about accountability and representation, employment and economy. We have talked about crisis response. But after this short commercial break, don't go away.
This is the Front Bench. Heroes Day is observed on the 9th of June annually in Uganda. On this day, we commemorate the sacrifices made during the Bush War of 1981-1986, which played a crucial role in shaping Uganda's political landscape. It is a time to remember and acknowledge the struggles and achievements of those who fought for independence, peace and justice, and to reflect on the ongoing efforts to build a better Uganda. This year, the celebrations will take place under the theme, The Legacy and Ideals of Our Heroes, a Memorable Inspiration. Join us on Monday the 9th of June in Lyantonde District as we relay the activities live on UBC. Happy Heroes Day.
Hello, Kampala, Uganda. In response to the national call of strengthening the traffic security, Good Products Group HGO brand has officially launched the Rider Selection Campaign. Registration is now open. Visit www.riders.hgo.com. Complete your registration now for a chance to win exciting prizes including motorcycles, exclusive HGO gift boxes, and official rider vests, all while promoting safe riding awareness. This is how to participate. Pay the registration fee, invite 3 friends to form a team of 4, and your registration fee will instantly be refunded. Begin your journey of honor today. Don't miss this opportunity. Join the challenge, promote road safety, and become a pioneer rider. For details, visit the official Good Products website at www.hgo.com or call toll free 0800-335-555 or visit our offices at Kingdom Kampala 3rd floor to register now and win prizes worth millions.
Buza Kamiso now, enhancing tax education and bringing it closer to the taxpayers. Many Ugandans have questions about the taxes they pay to URA.
When we come at revenue, they tell us to clear Chitenge at 10,000. And when we are selling Chitenge, we sell it at 17. So we don't know whether we are working or not.
Understanding your tax obligations can help you grow your business and avoid unnecessary losses. Now, you can get direct answers. Send your tax-related questions via WhatsApp or SMS to 0790-141-887, and the Commissioner General of URA, John Musinguzi, will personally address them. Tune in to UBC News Tonight every Monday and Wednesday for expert insights and clear explanations. Buza Commissioner.
Looking for instant excitement? The Uganda National Lottery Spin for Cash game is now available online. Wherever you are, you can join the excitement for just 500, 1,000 and 2,000 Uganda shillings. Don't miss out. Register now on www.nationallottery.go.ug for a chance to win your share of 2 billion instantly. What are you waiting for? Play Spin for Cash now, anytime, anywhere. Ituba is the proud operator of the Uganda National Lottery.
Uganda National Lottery. Dream, play, win.
Participants must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The Uganda National Lottery is operated by Ituba Uganda and regulated by the National Lotteries and Gaming Regulatory Board.
Every year, hundreds of thousands of pilgrims throng Namugongo to honor the Uganda Matters. This year, the Mother's Day theme for Catholics is, "O Lord, let me see again. I, your pilgrim of hope." This theme is derived from the Jubilee year declared by the late Pope Francis and is intended to encourage spiritual renewal and hope among the faithful. Lugazu Diocese is going to lead the animation at Namugongo Catholic Shrine, while the theme for the Anglican Church is imitating God's goodness by doing good. The theme will focus on the Church's role in proclaiming the gospel with boldness, inspired by the unwavering faith of the Uganda Matters. The Northern Uganda Regional Cluster, comprising of the Dioceses of Lango, West Nile, Madi West Nile, Kitgum and Nebi, is leading the preparations at the Anglican site. Join us on Tuesday, 3rd June 2025, as we relay to you the celebrations in real time on UBC and Star TV.
This is the Front Bench.
This is the Front Bench. Thank you so much for keeping it. UBC 0709602592 is our WhatsApp number. Kindly send in your questions, any question that you want to ask the Honourable Minister for State for Disability, Honourable Helen Grace Asamo. I still do have her, and she's still diving into issues they are doing as government to ensure that persons with disabilities are highly protected. Honourable, let's talk about assistive devices and taxation. There has been calls from Nudipu for the government to exempt taxes on imported medical equipment, medicines and assistive devices for people with persons with disabilities. What steps are you taking as a ministry to ensure that this is really put into action?
No, I think the assistive devices are tax exempt.
Okay.
As far as you show that you are using them for people with disabilities. But if you bring them for business, automatically you will pay taxes. So there are people who come like the churches and bring these assistive devices. They get clearance, and usually those assistive devices are cleared. We have the sunscreen for people with albinism, people living with albinism. That sunscreen used to be taxed because URA thought it was a cream, and they were saying no, we can't allow this go. But I think also when we discussed with URA under the income tax, we now had to waive off the tax, so that these people can benefit. The challenge we still have with the sunscreen, Ministry of Health has not put it as one of the essential drugs in the drug list, so that they can be able to access it, and then the accessibility of getting these things. So people still depend on donors. I want to say that we don't yet have a proper system of assistive devices where you can just say, today I've got broken, where can I get a assistive device? That is still a challenge, and you're still under discussion as government to see how can we put in a system where we can have assistive devices. There is a small discussion we are saying, for example, the army people, when they become victims of accidents or maybe of war, they get amputees, they get these kind of things. And in Mbubende, they are trying to make their artificial limbs. They are trying to make some of the assistive devices. We are trying to discuss and say, could it be that this can be made on a larger scale? And then we do a cost sharing. and see that these things are put into our orthopedic workshops. You know, we have orthopedic workshops which have become old under the Ministry of Health, and it was in all the regions. We have in Mulago, we have in Jinja, we have in Mbale, we have in Gulu, we have in Barara. So those regional workshops, orthopedic workshops, would have been the places you go to be assessed to get the assistive devices. But for tax exemption, that has been done. I want even to inform you that when you buy a car as a disabled person and you prove you are disabled, the tax is also exempt. So for me, I still feel that government is coming in to understand the issues of disability. And I tell my friends who are disabled that blaming government is not a big deal, because government, you need to tell them what you want them to do with you. Sometimes somebody thinks I'm comfortable on this chair until I say, but I'm not very comfortable. Can you get me another chair? So the person who is giving you a service might not understand. It's like somebody serving food and gets a child and says, now they're talking of equality. Let's give all of you the same thing. The child will begin wasting the food. So the issues of equity, we have always to give government proposals of how they can support us as people with what? Disabilities.
Before you cross to accessibility and affordability, Honorable, about the medical equipment we are talking about, you talked about orthopedic facilities and rehabilitation services. What plans does the ministry have to improve these facilities?
The Ministry of Health has put it in plan that they want to improve, because I told you disability is cross-cutting. So under the discussion with the Ministry of Health, they are putting their plan. We have what we call the disability commitments to see how they can revamp the orthopedic workshops to work for people with what? Disabilities. The only challenge we have, whenever it appears on the budget, I don't know whether it's attitude or it's what, the money which comes is too small or too little to support the revamping of this what? Orthopedic workshops. But these orthopedic workshops are very critical, not only for people with disabilities. Sometimes as a minister, people have called me when they have got accidents. Now where am I getting a wheelchair? And I'm like, oh, now you have got the accident, you have now known what a wheelchair will do for you. But I think we need to make it like a government program. So it's work in progress. I'll tell you that we are working on we have worked on a document we call a blueprint. All those things are coming in that document. If government can take it up like a big work plan for people with disabilities, I think things will change.
That takes me to accessibility, Honorable, and affordability, about the medical equipment, but also these orthopedic facilities and rehabilitation services. How best are you ensuring that persons with disabilities, but also non-persons, like you said, Honorable, even we, that we can really afford them, but also access them?
As I told you that Rome was not built in one day. As government thinks about this, a new thing will come. The issues of affordability is still a challenge. For example, in terms of rehabilitation, we have Kosu Hospital, which is on Entebbe Road. It provides some of these services. Most of them are private given. We believe in the private relationship with other people. So the private sector is the one which is doing more of the rehabilitation and supporting our people. But as I told you earlier, Minister of Health is now thinking of how to come on board, because most of the rehabilitation services are done by the private sector, and that's a bit expensive for our people to afford. It's only a few people who can afford it. So some people now end up getting rehabilitation services. We had a program called the community-based rehabilitation. So that community-based rehabilitation, we facilitate you to learn from your community how you are going to move. For example, you can build your toilet and put something like a sitting toilet. You need to make sure that you can be able to use it.
All right, Honorable, let's talk about inclusive food security. Still, Nodipo raised concerns about food insecurity among persons with disabilities, especially in rural areas. How is the ministry working to integrate these persons into Uganda's agriculture sector, but also ensure there is food security?
I told you earlier, you know, when you take questions to one organization, I begin to have a problem. Because all the business that my people do is agriculture.
Okay.
Under the PDM, there's no other business other than getting into inclusive food. When they get money for special grant, they go into food. So maybe the question has to be focused in a better way. When they do the Mioga, it's all. Most of our people are doing agricultural things. I'll tell you, Jethro, I don't buy birds when it's coming to Christmas. When I move around, somebody's already offering to say, Madam, we thank you. This is a chicken for you. This is a turkey for you. This is for... So it shows that there has been a development down there. And I think we need to go down and see, actually, what change has happened to people with disabilities. What change has happened to people with disabilities down on the grassroots? I personally go down. I decide to go to a home of a disabled person, and I want to see what is in that environment. But I'm always amazed to see that food will come on table. We are not the same like when we were in 1986, where the disabled were really 100% beggars. There has been a lot of improvement if you put on a mirror and you look at it. So you find that people are doing more of agriculture. So you can't do agriculture when you are not producing food.
All right.
Yeah.
Honorable, Monica Nankunda, a person with disability, lady from Nansana, let me take this opportunity to thank government of Uganda to thinking of us, we, persons with disabilities, most especially Mzee President Kaguta Museveni. I think that is an appreciation message. I also do have Lydia Naisikwe, watching from Jinja City. Thank you, Honorable Helen. You have articulated our issues very well. Legal framework, very good, but implementation is still low. Access is still very low. This is Lydia Naisikwe, watching from Jinja City. Yes, Honorable, you can actually first answer Lydia from Jinja.
Yeah, thank you so much. As I said, that there's always a process, there's a first step. And the first step is the legal framework. And the legal framework, as I explained, at the first time we started, we only had an Act 2006. As we got the convention, there was almost no implementation. Now, as we move to 2020, we find that implementation is starting to come. And it's still a challenge that we keep on discussing with the duty bearers, what they should do for us. I will tell you, from a government perspective, issues of disability, you can't now run a program without talking about disability. Whether you are in INIRA, right now IDs are going on, there's a section given for people with disabilities. It is not like automatic. So they say, go to zone this, that is for the disabled, so that you can be able. Now we are going to talk about electoral commission. If we are going to do biometric, we have told them there are people who don't have fingers. How are you going to support them? Now they are saying we shall use the facial what? The facial expression to see these people. So every stage we have to tell people what we are supposed to do. It is better to have a law than have nothing, because you can still go to court if your rights are not implemented. Because the minister cannot do everything. We are all together in this, including Lydia. Where your rights have been abused, access to judiciary is another critical area. Of recent, the judiciary has come up with guidelines to support disabled people, how they can get justice. For example, if there are steps in court, we expect the judge or the magistrate to bring the court to me and a tree or whatever. You declare that place a court so that I can access justice. Those days, they used not to give us, for example, a blind person to be a witness in court, because they said, how did you see? And a blind person doesn't see. So now they have brought the issues of smell, the issues of touch, the issues of, so that you can also give witness as a person. So the whole process of laws, even the Constitution of Uganda, it has not been implemented all. From 1995, you still get articles which have not been touched. So there is always a process at every stage.
All right. Honorable, let's move to accountability and representation. How is your department held accountable when targets on disability inclusion are not met?
For purposes of accountability, all government entities undergo accountability and special audits. If there are challenges that maybe you have not done anything well, you are supposed to make reports to cabinet on what you have done and why you did not do it, and you have to explain what is the next plan. So all the ministries which receive money are expected to be accountable. So for example, in my docket where we use the special grant, this money goes to the districts. Ours is to see that the money has been disbursed. People are using it, and I have technical people who go down there. I sometimes do some monitoring to see, has it really reached our people? There is a challenge that accountability is again something which I'll call that, not only for my department, even the user. Sometimes you give people money, they get excited and good readiness. That day, I am going to go to the bar. I want to buy just a beer to show him that today the Mulema is also buying for an able-bodied person. So poor person, the other people come around thinking they are friends, they will eat your money in 2 days. But we are guiding our people that when you get the money, know that it has to be the first, make some business out of it, and it can deliver you some results. But accountability is a must in the government entity. You cannot get government money and you're not doing accountability.
Are there mechanisms, Honorable, in place where disabled persons can directly voice their concerns or appeal decisions affecting their lives?
Very open. One of the areas is like Nandu Depot, which is an NGO helping us to do those things. My own office, people bring their issues and I voice them to the people who are concerned. For example, somebody says, I was denied ABCD. I'm expected as a minister to direct this person where they're supposed to go and get their what? Support. And you also, as a person, as an individual, you can just talk like any other person. If you have an issue, you can go to the Human Rights Commission, you can go to the Colopotis Commission and take your cry there. So the spaces government has put in, people can use them. You can go to the LOC 1, depending on where you are. You can go to the LOC 5, you can go to the RDC. So all these spaces are for everybody. So if you have a challenge, for example, if you have a CDO who has eaten your special grant down there in the district, you can go to the office of the RDC and report, and we expect the RDC to do an action on that. So this is, nobody has blocked an individual or groups of individuals to report or to voice their issues, because issues of rights are really human rights for everybody.
Honorable, I think indirectly you've actually answered Nankunda Monica. She says even though we still have many challenges on the ground, all the monies you were talking about, some of them, they have not received it, most especially government projects. She personally has a challenge of some big people from the government. What can she do to get justice from your minister? And she's a victim of corruption. I think you've answered her from the question that I did ask you. Yeah.
No, maybe you see, what I want to call upon the people with disabilities, of course we send this money, Jethro, but the challenge we have, there are people who are corrupt in society. I think you have heard the president complaining of the PDM. Instead of giving you 1 million, somebody removes 30 from the group. You give a special grant, somebody is going around and say, I'm the one who brought the money. The down person, not now the minister, you the minister and your team are sending the money for them to follow it up. But I want to ask Monica that, can she take her report, what we lack usually as disabled people? Some of them who have come to me, they don't have evidence, they come to tell you a story. And you cannot really take somebody on board when there's no evidence. Can you record this person when he's talking or when she's coming to do that? Can you be able to get at least maybe photographic evidence? Could you also be able to say, we met at this place and this is the evidence I have, so that we can be able to follow and track the corrupt entities? But also get to know about these programs either through your CDOs or through listening to government programs, and be able to know what is there for us so that you can be assisted to benefit from the programs.
Okay.
Yeah.
There is a gentleman asking, what plan does the government have for these people? Will they in the future have homes for these people? I don't know, maybe he wants persons with disabilities, government to think about them, maybe to construct for them homes. Honorable, you will touch on that.
I think we used to be institutionalized, like we are cages. That's why you used to have Kireka home for the disabled. You had Ilwesa, whatever. So they would put the disabled in such a place. We are now saying we are moving to the social model where we stay within our families. Why would you want me to build a home? And yet we know now that there are disabled people who are family men and women, people who are driving, people who are working. Now, why do you want to make this person become a dependent? For us, we improve you to be independent of that kind of challenge. So we believe that as a disabled person, I am better off being independent on my own than somebody coming that I'm going to build for your house. Poverty is for everybody. So when you talk about a disabled person, you must know that this can happen to any other person.
I have Charles Malinde from Tororo. We appreciate the initiatives to lift up persons with disabilities. Some of them who have active but blind eyes, which can undergo operation to enable the person to see. What plan do you have for them? Honorable, you have an answer for that?
No, what I know with the blind eyes, we have entities like in Tororo. I think when they go to St. Benedicto,
yes,
they do operations of eyes there. We have the Lions Club, they also do operations. We have Mengo Hospital, they also do operations. So if this gentleman is the one having such a challenge, you can, since it's in Tororo, I would refer him to go to St. Benedicto in Tororo to see how he can be supported. Okay.
Nena Peace from Gulu, I want to know more about participation and the rule of law concerning persons with disabilities.
I'm not very sure how it is.
Okay.
What is the question? Because participation and the rule of law, I have already said that
yes,
we have enough space of participation. Right now, we are all getting into the elections. And I want to say that, like, the disabled people have already run the election up to the structure under NRM. We have run it from the village up to NRM. Today is the second. We are starting to put the special interest groups committees which are going to run to the election of the Independent Electoral Commission. So the participation is already going on. And I want to say this time the Electoral Commission is even giving us preference. Our register is very special. We have about 110,000 disabled people who are on the register. So please, I want to encourage my sister, Peace, to participate in all these activities that are going on. Okay. Because as we talk, a lot of activity is going on.
Honorable, our time is running out. Ronnie is ask the minister why the disabled people are represented by the non-disabled. He's from Kabale.
I am not sure that that is the order, because it's supposed to be a disabled person representing a disabled. Okay. But there are people who have taken advantage. If they find the disabled not active, somebody comes with a small thing, maybe a small finger, and says, no, I am a disabled. But we are saying disability is a functional limitation of daily activities. Okay. But somebody tells you, for example, Jethro, I think one time is the president who made us laugh. She said, but this lady is representing disabled people in Chiruhura. Then when they kept on asking, say, but what is her disability? Then she said, you know, my uterus was removed. Now, how do you prove that this person?
Does the same grant, Honorable, cater for children with learning disabilities? This is Imelda. How are children with learning disabilities being helped?
For the children, we go through the parents. They became part of the groups, and then they can be supported to get the grant. Okay.
Yes, a lot has been done, but still more should be done when it comes to accessing the grassroots members with services. But thanks for the good narrative, Honorable. This is Jechi Sinde from Njeru. Another one is saying, I want to thank Minister for considering people with disabilities. He is Isaiah from Gulu. I just pray they put it into action, and they should make sure that this program reaches the very people necessary. Honorable, our time is fast spent. I want to hear from you your last remarks. Tomorrow, Matters Day, we are going into politics, but I also understand there is something probably in your office that you want to unveil for our people of Uganda in about 2-3 minutes, Honorable.
Yeah, thank you so much. I want first of all to thank you for hosting me, though the time has run very fast.
Sure.
I'm beginning to calculate and wonder whether there was a discrimination.
No, there was no discrimination.
What I wanted to say,
yes,
I want to thank the listeners and all those who have given us feedback. I think I appreciate the feedback because it helps us to plan better. And I also want to say that we can never stop planning. We can never stop working and doing implementation, because every day has got its own challenges, and each challenge comes with a different solution. So what I want to encourage our people that as we have started the political journey, let us participate and make sure that we elect people who can be able to support you. Me, I want to congratulate all those who have been elected. And I'm here as your minister, I'm your member of parliament, still asking for also the mandate to continue serving, because it's my first time to be a minister. Okay. And I think for me, being a minister has made more changes, because when you sit on the table, there's nothing in Uganda that comes without the cabinet approving. So when the cabinet approves you, it means processes goes on. I also just want to report that we have what we call A blueprint on disability is going to take care of issues of access, issues of health, issues of education, issues of community mobilization, and all government programs. In that document, we have put plans on how these things can be done. We have even put the budget. This blueprint is already at the desk of His Excellency. And if we discuss with His Excellency and he agrees, for me as a person who has been in the disability movement for long, by the way, I've been in the disability movement. I've worked in Nudipu, I've worked with the women with disabilities. I want to say that that one will help government, because it's going to come like a torch bearer to help government be able to process and handle issues of disability in a very positive manner. And tomorrow, I want to ask all the Christians and all the Muslims, because I know the Muslim Shrine also will be participating. Yeah. Let us all go to Namugongo, and I know Namugongo is already ready to receive all of us, and His Excellency will be part of the guests in that function. Okay. Personally, I'm going to be there, and I want to pray that all of us will be there. But I want to end by thanking all the entities that have really observed issues of disability, including UBC. You always have some sign language interpreters. I know today I surprised you by bringing one. True. At that level. I want to thank the Electoral Commission. I want to thank NIRA. I want to thank National Planning Authority. All of them are embracing issues of this. Minister of Education, we cannot thank you enough, because now they try to put in extra time for our people to do exams. There is a lot that everybody is struggling. Right. But this is a new concept, and it's a growing concept. So thank you so much, and may God bless you.
All right, thank you so much. You've heard it from the Minister of State for Disability, Honorable Helen Asamo Grace. We have to appreciate her for the time. She has spent a lot of time, but also, Honorable, you will accept that the next time we invite you, kindly please give us more time, because questions and comments are still coming in, but because of time, we cannot really tackle everything. We also have to appreciate Ms. Monica Ndichibulirani from the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. She has also spared time as she's doing that sign language interpretation you're seeing on your screen. From me and the entire team, we also have to understand that disability is not inability. Jethro Kasaigi is my name. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, Uganda, may God